Welcome to the show, everybody. Massive episode here. We are talking about workhorse running backs. How many are in the NFL right now? Who should you be drafting? Who's going to get the most volume? Who should you draft at the running back position? Who are the must-draft running backs? This is an important and fun episode because I love talking running backs, and it is so important that you know what's up with the running back landscape heading into 2025 fantasy football. So if you are new to the channel, smash it, tap it, slap it. What we're going to do here is we're going to go through every single depth chart from A to Z and look at the running backs here. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to pull up a visual here as well. And we're going to talk. I'm going to tell you which running backs are primed to absolutely crush it, which ones you should be drafting, okay? Hit the thumbs up, smash, tap it, turn on the bell. Make sure you guys do grab the 16-round draft solution. It is out now. It is available. I just launched it yesterday. It's officially out there. You can get the cheat sheet there. All the optimal players drafted each round. Video training telling you exactly who to draft, when to draft, and all the sleepers, all the breakouts. You'll be light years ahead of the consensus sheepses. Because last year, they all told you Christian Kirk ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. in the rankings. If rankings worked, I mean, everybody would be winning because that's what they want you to do, right? But if you want the secrets, the cheat code, make sure you grab 16 rounds. I've linked it below. Use code WIN to save. I'm telling you, you'll never look back, okay? So let's dive into it. Let's go through the depth chart. Let's talk about how many workhorse running backs there is. First and foremost, I did a count. We're looking at approximately, and I got good news. I got really good news. And by the way, stay to the end because I'm going to tell you one of my favorite rookie running backs who's in a workhorse position as well, okay? I'm saving that guy till the end. But the good news is the running back landscape, a lot of people say it's by committee now. I looked at it. And it's actually looking really, really good for the running backs in regards to guys getting a ton of volume. And like I said, I counted 14 running backs that are in a prime position to get the full workhorse volume. But obviously with this position, you have your issues, you have injuries, you have emerging stars that come in, take the volume. You have different scenarios. You have trades happening. You have, it's just, injury kind of takes a toll. Now, last year it wasn't as bad with injuries, but CMC, I told you not to draft him. How'd that go? There was a couple injuries, obviously, but we want to make sure we mitigate that by adding depth and having a lot of running backs on our roster as well. And I explained that in 16 rounds. So let's go through it here. Let's talk. Let's have a discussion. Now, I pulled up the depth charts here. Now, if you want to know where I get my information, like I don't mind telling you, there is a course called The Vault. I'll link it below, where I reveal all the sites where I get stuff like this because I get questions all the time. But I do a lot of different stuff, my news, my posts, all that. I'm not going to sit there and answer every question. This is this site, this is that site. Just get The Vault below. I explain what sites I use for my information and data, okay? So let's go through the depth charts here. We're going to go A to Z. Now, first of all, I don't think Connor's a workhorse. I mean, he did well last year, but I think Trey Benson emerged. So he's not in on this at all. Like, I just think aging running back, Trey Benson drafted high draft capital last year. I'm kind of staying away from this for the most part. If I get Benson later, maybe, but right now I'm a little turned off from last year. But we know that Connor doesn't finish seasons as well, so I'm just not drafting him, okay? But these isn't just necessarily players that I'm drafting, just who are the workhorses that just don't really have a lot of competition. And I think Benson dips into the Connor volume this year. Now, let's talk about my favorite, Byjan. Now, people that are new to the channel, by the way, if you're new, hit the thumbs up, subscribe. The only channel telling you the truth. You said Byjan. B-Y-E-Jan. Yeah, B-I is also like bi-weekly, B-I. They don't say B-Y-E weekly. It's Byjan. That's the proper way to pronounce it. He mispronounces it by calling it Bijan. I don't see B-E-E. I don't see the word John in there. Now, if it's French, it's J-E-A-N, Jean, or if it's J-H-O-N, I don't see any of that. I just see bi as in bi-weekly, and then Jan as in ran, Byjan. It's just logical common sense, okay? That's what it is. His name is Byjan. And I'm telling you, he is prime for targets. And last year, number 3 in fantasy points, 4th in attempts. This is it, man. Like, he's just not, this is kind of an obvious one here, but I want to talk about it. Byjan, obviously kind of like the 1.01. And there's another guy I like that could be a 1.01, which we'll talk about. I think you can know who it is a little bit later on here. But I mean, Byjan just primed. We saw it last year. He completely broke away from the Algier. And Algier's just not going to be a threat. They're going to run him. And Michael Penix apparently looking good in minicamp. So interesting to see how that's going to go. But Byjan primed for a ton of volume, all right? Let's keep going here. Derrick Henry, number 2 in attempts last year with 325. But again, workhorse. Like, no one's touching his volume. And the interesting thing is, guys, that's why I waited to do this episode on must-draft running backs and workhorse bell cows, is because he kind of came out of this draft untouched. They got Rasheen Ali, which isn't a concern. Justice Hill is more of a third down back, pass catching back anyway. But he's primed. Now, the only thing that works against Derrick Henry is a couple things. Number one is his age. I mean, he's 31 years old now. That's an issue. He's had multiple seasons over the 300-yard threshold of attempts. He's worked a lot, but if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Derrick Henry. The only problem is I just don't want to end up being there to pick up the pieces if it's his fall-off year. And that's my biggest concern issue with Derrick Henry. But workhorse, and that's what we're talking about. Who are the workhorses? We're identifying them. And like I said, I've got about 14 here we need to talk about, okay? Again, we kind of go through this. James Cook. I'm just not really a James Cook fan. He's a little disgruntled with his contract. Not really considered a workhorse. Chuba, not considered a workhorse at all. Some people love Chuba. I think he sucks. And I got stats to prove it. Like, Joe, how could you say Chuba sucks? Let me give you some stats on Chuba Hubbard here, okay? 4 seasons in the league, and it took him 3 seasons to get 12 touchdowns. Okay, his first 3 seasons, he only had 12 touchdowns. In his first season, he averaged 3.6 yards per carry. In his 2023 season, only 3.8 yards per carry. He was a 4th-round pick. He's mediocre. And guess what? More bad news for Chuba Hubbard owners. They ended up drafting Trevor Etienne, the brother of Travis Etienne. Okay, that's a big problem. In the 4th round, Jonathan Brooks looks like he's out for the season on IR, and they brought in Rico Dowdle. Now, again, just a bunch of mediocre guys, so there's no workhorse available here. So we're just going to move on. We're focusing on workhorse. Again, I can sit here and analyze every player. Believe me, when I say a player sucks, he's not that good. Take my word on it. I've done the research. Okay, I know what I'm talking about, right? Next guy here is Chase Brown. Let's keep rolling on here. By the way, DeAndre Swift, not a workhorse at all. Let's move on from there. Just crappy situation. They're saying Kyle here, the rookie, might do some stuff, but who knows? Chase Brown here, again, he is actually in a workhorse situation. So I like it. The only problem with Chase Brown is he was kind of a later round draft. I think he was like a 4th or 5th rounder. 10th in fantasy points last year, 16th in attempts with 229. I'd like to see more attempts if I consider him a true workhorse. That being said, the plus for him is they didn't really bring anybody else in. They drafted Tajay Brooks, which again, I'm not really concerned there. He's a 6th rounder. They got P. Ryan there, Perrine, whatever his name is. They got Zach Moss, who sucks. I know a lot of people were excited about Zach Moss last year. I'm like, dude, that guy sucks. And he proved he sucked. So again, I'm telling you, when I know a player sucks, they suck. I think Chase Brown is good. I'm just not I'm not drafting him. I love the situation. I love the offense. I think the offense could be really good this year. I'm just personally not drafting him. Again, I'm not going to go over, let's not even go over who I'm drafting, who I'm not, because if you want that, grab the 16-round draft solution. I believe me, I like the situation. I believe that he was untouched from this draft, really. But the problem is, again, he's just not that outstanding, not that explosive. I'm looking for guys that like home run hitters, right? So, but workhorse, I mean, it's a realm of possibility for him, okay? I want to talk also about Judkins here. Let's pull up a little bit about him. Round 2 pick. My only concern here, obviously, is Samson being drafted, in the 4th round. Now they got Ford here. Obviously, Judkins is going to take that spot. Most talented running back on paper with this roster here. But again, you're looking at Samson drafted in the 4th round. The offense is a little suspect. I don't know who's quarterback. Sanders looking good in camp. They got Pickett. They got Flacco. So a lot of concerns there at quarterback on who's kind of starting. I think the wide receiver is a little suspect, but our main focus is the workhorse. I think Judkins has the potential to get 250 attempts this year, but there's that big question mark with Dylan Sampson because they're both top running back prospects out of this draft, but Judkins, man, primed. So yes, there's 14 running backs I got listed here that are in prime position to succeed, but there is some question marks, like this one being one of them. Is Judkins going to be that guy? We don't really know with rookies. All we could do is make our best educated guess, but the Samson there is bothering me. Without Samson, I'd be all over this. I'd be like, yeah, man, workhorse Ford is not a threat. And you could say that Samson might not be a threat, but I don't know, man. Maybe they got Samson for a depth piece, and you could say, well, Judkins is so much better and all that stuff. Higher draft capital, drafted round 2 compared to draft round 4. You can make all these arguments, but I think stars kind of are aligning for Judkins to kind of be that workhorse back. So that's very, very interesting to see how that plays out, okay? Let's keep kind of rolling with this here. I want to talk a little bit about Joe Mixon, of course. We got Joe Mixon here. I'm just like older for me. I personally will not be drafting Joe Mixon at all this year. And I'm kind of jumping here to Houston. So I know I'm kind of, I shouldn't have jumped, but anyway, that was where my banner came up. But I really want to talk about him. He's also kind of in a position to just kind of keep an eye on Woody Marks here as well, because Woody Marks is, he's a 6th round pick, got some potential, decent college campaigns. I don't know, man. It's a decent, solid offense as well. But just Mixon is older. But he was 13th in attempts with 245 last year. If Woody Marks kind of dips into that could kind of go down. So he's kind of like a workhorse B type guy. I'm not really that excited about Joe Mixon at all. Like, I'm just not. So just be aware of that. The guy kind of jumped over there is in a workhorse position as well, is Josh Jacobs. And again, this is all looking really promising. This is really, really exciting because we are getting situations where we're going to be able to get workhorses. It's just a matter of who's kind of going to stay healthy. Now, you're probably looking up above this and be like, Joe, hold on. You went to Green Bay. We're kind of going with this. What about Jahmyr Gibbs, right? We're going to get to that in a second. I'm skipping over for a reason. But I want to talk about Josh Jacobs. It's like, okay, primed in a position to succeed. Obviously, last year had himself a good campaign. And when you look at attempts, he was above, up on the top with attempts, right? 6th in fantasy points, of course, and similarly in attempts. So I'm expected for him. I would say him and Jordan Love are the safest. I would say Packers to draft, simply because Jordan Love has a lot of receiving options. I heard Matthew Golden is doing as advertised in training camp, looking good, looking athletic. But look at they've got Wicks there, they've got Dobbs, they've got Reed. I heard Tucker Kraft is going to get involved. So it looks good for Jordan Love, but again, just so many wide receivers there. But when you look going back and honing in on Josh Jacobs, he's kind of set. I'm just not a Josh Jacobs fan. And you guys, if you know, maybe a little biased, me and him had it out on social media years ago. I called him out to box. He said, let's do it. And then he ends up blocking me. So I'm not really a Josh Jacobs fan. And it's funny because I met him when he came out of the NFL draft. I was there at the event, at the NFL draft. I had a table there. We talked, we took a picture. It went from that to like, we want to punch each other out. Because I called him out on a lack of performance or fantasy or something, like he hated fantasy. I can't remember what the argument. This is going like 3 years ago. But anyway, not a fan of him either way. But he's in a good position to succeed, okay? I wanted to make that note. Let's move down here. Jonathan Taylor, another workhorse back. Really good. They drafted DJ Giddens. I'm not sure that's going to be a major concern. Not so, it was a round 5 pick is Giddens. The problem here is, again, obviously Taylor's durability. So that's something you guys got to take. We're just focusing on, is he going to be a 16 rounder? We'll talk about it. Got to get 16 rounds to find out. But again, workhorse capable, another workhorse guy. That is just going to be the guy. Obviously, question marks at quarterback. How that's going to affect the running back is going to be interesting. Keep it rolling here. I want to talk a little bit about Kyren Williams, another guy who's in a workhorse situation. And what's exciting about Kyren is that he came out and said that, like, hey, man, like, I haven't even scratched the surface of what I could do. I don't know if that's the exact quote, but he says there's more in the tank. So definitely I've got sort of like a number 8 right now. We got 8 workhorses and Kyren has to be one of them. They drafted Blake Corum in like round 3 last year. Just wasn't even a factor. Just was not even a concern. Kyren Williams, number 3 last year in attempts with 316. Love to see that. Number 7 in fantasy points. You can see, man, like you can really see here. When you have a lot of attempts, shot of water there, you get fantasy points. It's just how it works. Number 7 in fantasy points. But again, I still think we got more to be desired and more to be seen there with Kyren Williams. So going to be very, very interesting to see how that plays out, okay? Other guys here I want to talk about. Number 9, I got to talk about this guy, and I said I'd talk about him. Another guy that could be the 1.01 here is Ashton Jeanty. Why am I so excited about Jeanty? Well, it's kind of like that perfect storm for a workhorse running back. He's got like 0. When I say 0, I mean like literally 0 competition. Take a look, man. He's got Mostert, who sucks, right? I'm moving my screen here. I'm kind of messing up my screen. They got Mostert, who sucks. You got Dylan Luby, whatever, lubrication, Labby. I'm not even. Zamir White, who again, I'm going to put my hands up here. He was primed. He was like slated as the RB1 on this team last year. Did absolutely nothing. Absolute garbage player. Like garbage. Bottom feeder, terrible player. But I'm excited for Jeanty because he's primed to get the volume. They got Geno Smith there, who's going to be efficient enough to move the ball down the field. and not be efficient enough to run the ball enough that's going to take volume away from him. So you kind of got that perfect quarterback who isn't going to be like Lamar Jackson, who's going to be running and putting up more rushing yards than his running back, which is exciting. You've got, no competition, like literally. The wide receivers, I think, there's a couple of sleepers. I think Bowers is going to be good. I think Jack Beck is an interesting sleeper. I like him a lot. It's going to be enough here. Not exciting, right? You're not going to get a Jamar Chase, but there's going to be some stacked boxes. That's kind of my only concern here. They made some improvements on the O-line, minor here, but again, you just got to take a look at it and be like primed, absolutely primed to get 300 attempts this year. I mean, they had I think 400 some odd attempts. I don't remember the exact number, but they had all those attempts spread over 6 running backs last year. Now he's going to get at least 300 attempts. I'm just so excited about him, man. And some people say he's a little undersized. There's always going to be knocks. There's no perfect athlete. All you could do is bring the best physicality you can, which is, again, great vision, speed, explosiveness, cutting ability. He's got it all. And put that in a situation where he's primed to get a ton of volume. Man, it's just a kind of the perfect recipe. I'm kind of excited about that. I'm really excited about that, okay? I want to talk a little bit here, of course, about Saquon Barkley. Obviously, another workhorse running back, without a doubt. Obviously, the only caveat with him is going to be, ultimately, is there going to be a regression year? That's ultimately something you got to make a decision of doing. I'll let you know in 60 rounds whether I'm drafting. I will tell you I'm putting him in 16 rounds, but when I'm doing the mock drafts, I'm still trying to debate on whether I'd want him or not. Top 3 pick regardless. So if you're not drafting in the top 3 picks, you don't really have to worry about it. You'll be drafting later. You'll be drafting round, if you're the 8th or 12th pick or whatever in your league, you don't got to worry about it because he'll be gone. But if you are an early pick, obviously something to consider. But I'm factoring in a regression. I mean, 2,000 plus yards, number 1 in attempts last year, 345. Love to see it. And I still think he's going to eat, but is he going to be able to stay durable after that Super Bowl hangover and after such a pinnacle year? I don't see a 2,000-yard season, but I definitely, if healthy, see a 1,600-yard season, 12 touchdown floor type thing out of Saquon. Obviously, tack on all the receptions, all the other fantasy points, making him easily a top 3 to 5 running back. So workhorse, love it. Love to see. No competition. They got A.J. Dillon, Montreal Johnson, not really a concern there, rookie. So keep an eye on that, okay? Keep an eye on that and just kind of be aware of a possible regression. I got to talk about this guy. This is very, 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 very important. I want to talk about this, okay? And the depth charts are stating Jaylen Warren, but the guy I'm talking about is Caleb Johnson, all right? I'm going to be straight with you on this. I'm going to zoom in here so you guys see my face. Now, there's talk about Jaylen Warren being the starting running back, and that's what they're saying, right? This is the biggest BS I've ever heard anybody ever talk about. And I'll tell you why. First and foremost, Jaylen Warren sucks. Now, some people say, well, Joey doesn't suck. He's good. Be nice. Blah. Now, this isn't about being nice. This is about winning fantasy football. And if I pull, I don't have the numbers exactly, but I can tell you right off the top of my head that he wasn't the workhorse last year. I think he had 120 attempts. I'm actually going to pull it up just for argument's sake. Let's pull it up. I think it was 120 attempts, and Najee was there, and he had the bulk of the volume. Okay. So yeah, 120 attempts for Warren last year, 263 for Najee Harris. Okay. Najee only averaged 4.4 yards per carry, 6 touchdowns, just over 1,000 yards. That's really pathetic. That's when I say that's pathetic. I mean, it's pathetic. 204 I'm looking at, PPR. If you look at it, I don't have the exact number, but if you look at Gibbs with 250 attempts, he had over 100 some odd fantasy points more than Najee. So when Najee touches the ball, he doesn't do anything with it. He sucks. He runs into piles. He sucks. And then, so the point I'm trying to make is we've concluded that Najee sucks, garbage player, and Warren can't even beat him out. Obviously, the Steelers got rid of Najee because they know he sucks, right? They don't want to pay him another contract, right? They don't want to extend him because they know he's not going to do anything for them. And you bring in a guy purposely in the 3rd round to replace Najee, but you want to do better than Najee because you've scouted this guy out, you've done the research on paper, he looks better, and he actually does look better. He's got this natural lean forward, run for more yards type mentality. It's that dog mentality. He catches out of the backfield, runs ins and outs. His speed could be a little faster. I think it's a 4.5 speed, but again, I've quoted this before. Tomlin came out and said that like he's not concerned about Caleb Johnson's ability to break out for runs because he's done it multiple times in college. And obviously, you know, the 40-yard dash is different from in-game speed. Everything's gonna be different, right? But Caleb Johnson is just such an intriguing prospect because he's coming off in like the 8th round at the time of this recording, and I'm getting him a lot earlier. But I just love it. Workhorse capable. Jaylen Warren is not a concern. Anyone telling you Jaylen Warren is going to be the RB1 is crazy because he couldn't beat out Najee. That's all you need to know. And they drafted a replacement for Najee, who arguably is a lot superior than Najee. I'm super excited. Caleb Johnson, man, it's going to be one of those things, man, like next year. It's like the Laporta thing 2 years ago. I'm like, Laporta 10th round, grab him. And then next year, everybody rode him. Last year, he was a round 2 pick, and then he ended up busting on that ADP. But it's like Caleb's just going to be that guy that I see being good for years. But there's just going to be a top draft pick next year. But man, just the earlier I draft, the better. Because as soon as news comes out that he is the one or he's doing better in camp and they're fading out Warren, it's like, yeah, please draft Warren ahead of Caleb. I love that. Do that all day. I hope they keep telling people that Warren's the one because Caleb Johnson's the one without a doubt, clear cut. I have zero doubts about this, okay? A couple other guys I want to talk about here is Christian McCaffrey, obviously a workhorse, but I'm going to tell you straight up, I'm fading him. Like I was doing early mock drafts, like I would say 2 months ago. He was coming off like round 3 to 4. Now he's kind of coming off round 2. But that being said, in his defense, he's trending upwards, no way but up from last year. From what I'm hearing from coaches, he's still going to continue being a workhorse. They're going to run him to the ground, guys, basically. The big question is he going to have the heart to want to run into the ground? Now that he's married, paid, tail end of his career, like, does he really care to basically destroy his body? That's a big question, right? But workhorse, okay? I got 2 more. Again, the last one I really like as well, rookie. But I want to talk about here also is Bucky Irving. Look at this depth chart, guys. Literally like no competition. Rachaad White obviously lost his job last year. 207 attempts for Bucky last year. 1,122 yards. Not bad. Not bad. And solid offense. They drafted Emeka at the wide receiver position, opening things up. They got a good offense here, guys. And Bucky is primed to be a workhorse. Although, again, I need to see more than 207 attempts. I need to see no Rachaad White. So, again, this guy's kind of in that questionable situation, okay? And the last guy here, primed to absolutely smash, is RJ Harvey. Okay, love him. I saw a video of him. His cutting ability looks phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal for RJ Harvey. Now, he was a round 2 pick, explosive, cutting ability, doing well in camp. I cannot express to you how much the situation looks good in regards to this guy being the workhorse. Obviously, Jaleel McLaughlin, isn't it? Audric estimate, if he was the guy, they would have even drafted Harvey in the 2nd round. He is the guy. I like Bo Nix a lot. I like this offense. This offense is very interesting. There's a couple of sleepers that I'm looking at right now on this offense at the wide receiver position, which I revealed in the 16-round draft solution. But again, when I'm looking at this offense, I'm just seeing a ton of excitement for Bo Nix, RJ Harvey having, being a true running back. Obviously, he's got to make sure his pass protection is really good. RJ Harvey, everybody's got some work to do coming, especially as a rookie. But when you're looking at a situation where there's workhorse capable, that's the situation couldn't be better. Now, again, I do want to talk a little bit about Gibbs and some other guys. I talked about Chuba. I want to round this up with Gibbs. The problem with Gibbs is this: 11th in attempts last year with 250. I need to see more than that. You're saying, well, Joe Still, he's a top running back, 250 attempts. Problem is, Montgomery only played 14 games. Assuming that Montgomery plays the entire game, that's going to come down. Montgomery had 185 attempts last year in 14 games. I want to see that go down. I don't want Montgomery to touch the ball. And I think that every time Montgomery touches the ball, I think that's a massive mistake if you're a Detroit Lions fan, or if you're a Detroit Lions coach, or if you're on the Detroit Lions and if you want to win. Because every time Gibbs does not touch the ball, you are missing out on a massive explosive play and opportunity. By putting in Montgomery, you're kind of chugging away, right? And sometimes they want to do that. But if you really, really want to win and succeed and want the best players out there, you need to give more volume to Jahmyr Gibbs. So that being said, I don't consider him an absolute workhorse because I'm anticipating, and it's said that it's going to happen, that they're still going to run Montgomery and you're losing 200 plus attempts. And that is not workhorse to me. A workhorse is Derrick Henry. A workhorse is Kyron Williams, top 3 in attempts. A workhorse is Ashton Genty. A workhorse is Saquon Barkley. A workhorse could be a Chase, right? So Chase Brown. So it could be these guys, the guys that I mentioned, Josh Jacobs, right? All those guys. But to me, when I look at Gibbs, when you tell me Montgomery's going to get 200 attempts, he had 185 last year, 200 plus the year before, that to me is not workhorse. That's a great fantasy running back in Gibbs because he does so good with what little volume he has, he still becomes a top guy. And I get it. But I want workhorse. I don't want to see another running back on the field. I just want to see I want to see Saquon. Just like last year, I want to see Henry. I don't want to see another running back. Okay. So when you are drafting, yes, I'm recommending Jahmyr Gibbs, but personally for me, when the turn comes, I'd rather have like a Genti or Bijan over a Gibbs. Okay. That's me. Up to you guys to make that executive decision. Okay. Must draft running backs for fantasy football 2025. You guys make the decision, but if you guys want some help with that, and I recommend you definitely get it, is 16-round drafts, which I've linked it below. Join the Patreon group, patreon.com/FFcounselor. I've linked it below as well. And I've linked the code to the vault as well. So you get all the sites where we get depth charts and stuff like that. All right. We'll talk soon, guys. Have yourself a good day and make sure robust or bust. Okay. Get those workhorse running backs. Focus on them. Don't aim for RB2s. Get the workhorses. We'll talk soon, guys. Now you know who they are. We're out.